once again, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to AIW's The Card is Going to Change. On this week's episode, we talk about Double Dare, the 2-day tag team tournament held in November 2016 to crown new AIW tag team champions. And before we get to that, with owners of AIW, Chandler Biggins and John Thorne, we of course need to give a shout out to our sponsors. First and foremost, always being fed by Angelo's Pizza. Angelo's award-winning pizza in Lakewood on Madison Avenue. Make sure you stop in for a slice or an entire pizza yourself. Also want to give a shout out to Smart Mark Video, who always records every AIW event. Download us, stream us, buy the DVD from Smart Mark Video. And then, of course, our newest sponsor, Jack Prints, for all your printing, design, logo, and any sort of apparel needs. Head to jackprints.com.
And that's JAKprints.com.
And I got a promo code.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Yeah, in studying these successful podcasts, I noticed that this is how business is done in the podcast world. You need to give out these promo codes, and people, you need to go and use these promo codes for us to get paid. So we have a up to $75 off your order from jackprints.com. That is promo code JAKWELCOME88. Jack Welcome 88, and save up to $75 off your printing order.
How can they even afford that much?
They're practically giving T-shirts away.
Well, those voices that you heard were, of course, Chandler Biggins and John Thorne, the owners previously introduced. My name is Steve Guy. I am the chauffeur of this wild, crazy ride that we do here each week on The Card is Going to Change. You can also help sponsor, as an individual, this podcast if you go to patreon.com, patreon.com/AI Wrestling. And John, I think we had a sponsor this week, didn't we not?
Yes, we had a contributor who purchased a certain value. I don't know. I guess we do Patreon wrong. We kind of treat it like a fucking GoFundMe Kickstarter thing, but I don't care. It seems to work for us. Shout out to Jennifer Velez at Ladyfingers on Twitter. Jennifer Velez.
Yeah.
Not really sure the pronunciation.
Tweet us. Make sure we said it right.
Yeah, let us know how to properly pronounce your name. I'm really bad with, reading.
Yeah.
But she did contribute to our Patreon account, and every dollar contribution helps.
Thank you for keeping the show on the air.
Yeah, because we're barely staying on the air. Because I don't know if I don't know if investing in all this equipment has shown to be a good investment or not just yet.
We already broke 2 mic cords in Chicago.
Yeah, on our second recording endeavor, we broke half the equipment.
I mean, I don't feel like you guys need me, but maybe you do need me.
A lot of people say we don't need you.
Yeah, I was reading posts today about how we don't need you.
I don't think you do, but somebody's got to keep Biggins on.
You got to keep Biggins on track.
Yeah, thank goodness Cabana was hosting the Cabana episode.
Was he hosting? Because I thought I was the host.
I don't know. It sure seemed like Cabana was.
He really kept things tight and on track because Biggins was going all over the place trying to fucking.
You were
American
everywhere.
Pickers his fucking studio apartment.
Yeah, you were just enamored.
I'm shocked I even was on the podcast because I was trying to search the house.
Oh my god, yeah, he had to search your pockets on your way out. You're trying to steal his fucking unboxing boxes.
Well, on this week's episode, as mentioned, we are going to talk about Double Dare, the 2-day tag team tournament, to kind of set the scene for you folks. Way back when the tag team champions were Hot Sauce Entertainment, Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, and Tyson Dukes. And Tyson could no longer, make it to the shows. We had to vacate the titles, and thus was the 2-day tag team tournament Double Dare here in November.
Which was another show that we had to add, just like Season of the Witch. I wanted to take a nice extended break from September until, Hell on Earth at the end of November, and all this stuff just kept popping up, and we had to have tag team champions. So then we had to add a whole other weekend of shows.
Yeah, not only one show, but 2 shows. So that's double the money.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That's double the money lost. It's not
Well,
double.
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I didn't mean double the money coming in. I meant double.
People could misinterpret that.
Okay, well, I meant double the cost.
Yeah, as promoters, I mean, I think that's my first question to you guys to kind of explain to these people is, a lot of people are going to see this as, well, it was another chance for them to make money. They keep adding these shows, they're going to keep making money. But I
think it's weird. Sorry to cut you off, but
no, that's okay.
It's weird with these double shows or triple shows. We had the Wrestle Rager. It almost seems like people are so confused by it that it almost seems like sometimes it splits. Like, oh, I'd rather go Saturday night. I'd rather go Friday night. So it's almost like a negative in some ways. But, it's easier for a tournament not to try to cram everything in one night.
Well, and as a smaller company, is the idea of wanting to have taken those couple of months off, that time frame off, because it helps you save money? In the mind of people.
I mean, you gotta build the bank back up, and we haven't had a chance to build that bank back up, and it's been adding all these shows has really spread us super thin.
Because the thing is it takes money to make money, and
right.
If we're running all these shows, that's a lot of money going out, and not always a lot of money coming in.
I mean, you want to talk about the cost or whatever? I'm pretty sure Double Dare Weekend cost me my 3-year relationship with my girlfriend. So
this was
a whole other podcast.
This was like a real depressing leading in the show because Thorne's having girl problems. One of my friends who was an AIW fan, he passed away the week of Double Dare,
and he had purchased tickets.
And
right.
he was literally texting me excited about Double Dare on Sunday. He passed away on Monday, and that's hard to go into a show going, Thorne's breaking up with his girlfriend. One of my good friends just died. Hey, let's get excited to run wrestling.
Yeah, going back to that extended time off, it's not only to build the bank back up, but it's just to kind of exist in the real world, because we do
right.
have to exist in the real world. So it's kind of a lot to spring on your girlfriend when you go from hey, we're gonna have one show to I don't know how many we ran, 5.
And not only are we running, but we have 2 federations that we do the ring for that are never on the same weekends usually. So me and him are doing almost every weekend. And then a couple weekends ago, obviously, we taped in Chicago, and that was right after Double Dare. So
yeah.
I think this previous weekend was the first weekend neither of us had anything to do, and it was kind of weird.
Yeah, it goes so it's not only do we have to promote these shows and we add all those shows, but then I also got to go out and I got to go out and flyer for the shows, and I got to try to get sponsors, and I got to try to set up these after parties, and now I got to produce this podcast.
Yeah.
YouTube,
we did have 2 after parties,
the DVDs, everything.
So it's a never-ending thing, and it kind of got to the point to where right after Double Dare, my girlfriend was just kind of you're never here. I'm that's it. So it's kind of you want to talk about the cost of being a wrestling promoter. It's you got to kind of gamble your entire life, not only your money. So, that's where we're at now. Here I am with this wrestling company and no girlfriend and a podcast sitting in a room with you guys. So.
Well, you have a Chandler Biggins.
It's a bit of a reality check,
If I can actually throw my hat into the pity party ring too, if you remember Double Dare, I got a phone call.
You got fired the day
I
of Double
lost
Dare.
my job a half an hour before showing up to Double Dare.
Yeah, so it's
it was a real weird weekend, man.
It's like a black cloud, man. Honestly, it's and on top of all that, before we even get into all the chaos that went into the show, and all these just kind of unfortunate circumstances that probably surrounded all 3 of us. That's the week the Indians lose the World Series in Game 7, so the whole city is fucking depressed.
Oh, I've never seen a whole city just turn on itself, because we had this show coming up on Friday, and we're okay, hopefully the Indians aren't playing that day.
And so if they would have won, we would have went against the Indians championship parade on Friday night. So we're kind of sweet, they didn't win. But since they didn't win, everybody was just fucking depressed. The crowd was just so unenthusiastic on Friday night, very very thin crowd because I think people spend all their money on the Indians.
So many people were at the bars or the watch parties the weekend before.
And none of that is free, you know?
Right, yeah.
And like I don't know if people are even interested in hearing, these complaints or whatever, but this is the reality of like being independent wrestling promoters. Like you have to deal with, I know we talked about it on the Season of the Witch podcast, just talking about, dealing with sports, but then, you got to also juggle these real life problems, and like it's just like, you're either like you got to be there to steer the ship, or else it's going down. So it's like, yeah, like does anybody really give a shit that I lost my 3-year relationship? Not really. You know what I mean? Like as far as like, wrestlers just want to get paid. The fans just want to see a show. So it's like, you got to go through that, and then like Biggins has a longtime friend that passes away that week. And it's like you got to disregard that, and because it's just like,
and he was so tied to AIW, then it was like the last thing I wanted to do was go to a wrestling show,
right,
where it would remind me of my buddy.
Well, that's where your friendship, was started from and centered around was wrestling.
Oh yeah, 100%. He was like my buddy, took me to ECW, and like I don't want to get too much into it, but like it's one of those things where it's so tied to wrestling that like it's hard to disconnect and be like, okay, I got to deal with so-and-so's issues on Friday or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just like, you gotta juggle all these things, and like, well, I didn't totally break up with my girlfriend Double Dare weekend. I'm pretty sure that was like that and
the catalyst,
yeah, that and like, the week that followed, of the going out and Double Dare weekend and like not coming home and like all that stuff, like that just it takes a toll. But you got to be a promoter, and you got to be there. I have to be there at the show all day. I have to be at the after parties. I have to be there for all this stuff. So it's just like, my girlfriend kind of got to the point to where she was just like, hey, I'm just like, do you want to date me or do you want to date wrestling? And it's just kind of like, this is what I've done. And it's kind of like, you can't really choose that. It's a hard choice. Well, it's like, what do you want? And like this is kind of the story of my life. Like girls will always be like, hey.
Oh yeah, I've been through how many girlfriends with you? Like 100.
Girls. I thought Biggins was gonna say, yeah, I've been through how many girlfriends?
No. But Thor always has something going on.
But like, it's just like that's the thing. It's like, the wrestling thing's cool until like you have to spend so much, like people don't process how much time you got to spend on it. So then it really, really takes a toll on.
Plus I think every girlfriend is before Monsoon Classic, every one of Thorne's girlfriends was a concession stand worker.
Yeah, I mean I would try to put them to work somehow.
Well, ladies, if
I'm fragile right now, man. I'm really taking this one hard, man.
If you think, this
podcast just might turn into a psychiatrist session.
Like we need couches in here to lay on.
I mean, this is but
if you think you can handle wrestling,
but
ladies.
But I think people would rather hear us tell the reality of the situation than go, "Oh my God, everything was great, we're awesome."
Yeah, I mean it's not awesome. You know what I mean? Like
and how many wrestling promoters would have a podcast and be like, "Oh my God, we're number one, we're killing everybody, Vince, we're coming after you."
It's like I hate to keep harping on this, but it's like having that kind of like foundation and stability of like a live-in girlfriend that was like there to hear and vent to, like that's gone now. So it's kind of like I feel like. I'm gonna go insane because it's just like now all I have is to dive into AIW, and like I think that is not healthy. You know what I mean? Like you need to
keep like one foot out of the water.
Yeah, because like you can't go full on like totally consumed in independent wrestling because like the reality of it is like it's not that sweet of a gig. You know what I mean? And it's stressful. So it was good to have that
and we both were like that at one point, and I had to hold John Thorne from killing people at different times. So
yeah, I mean when I was in, man, I was like fighting promoters and like I tried to fucking throw a guy off a balcony and shit. Like I can't get like that anymore. Like when I was super fucking like all in on wrestling, didn't have a fucking job, like let's fucking live off this shit, let's get serious. Like I was like, this is my fucking life. Like I was literally I chased another promoter and he dove on top of a cop car outside of a Monday Night Raw because I was fucking hockey fighting him. And like, because it was like, this is fucking, you know what I mean? Like this is like, it was my livelihood and like, it was not psychologically healthy for me. So like, I realized like, hey, I need to be serious about it, but I need to like kind of develop this pie chart of my life, and I gotta like keep everything separate, and I gotta have like a release. So like, this is we're getting real fucking deep on this fucking thing. I don't even know if we're gonna get the double dare, but like, that's kind of the reality of it. So I'm like, yeah, like I want to keep things kind of separate, and like that's been working well for me. So like, but with having to add all these shows based on these circumstances, like, we had to add the Gargano show that wasn't supposed to happen. We had to add the October Season of the Witch show that wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
Then we have to add the Double Dare weekend that wasn't supposed to happen. On top of the Double Dare weekend, we have to add 2 after parties to it because those after parties give us money, and Double Dare was expensive. So it's just like all these things, and it's just like that really takes a toll on your real life, and it's just like, people don't get it. Like they think it's just kind of like oh yeah, like this is like a cool little hobby that you do, and then whatever. Like it fucking affects your your entire life.
Yeah. Quick shout out, since you mentioned the after parties, to the 2 establishments that hosted the after parties for us and invited us in. Nax, which is in Brook Park, Nax Eatery and Drinkery, I do believe is the full name there.
Hell of a place.
Yeah, our second time there, since we did J-Lit weekend there also this year. And Mahal's on Madison Avenue as well in Lakewood, Ohio. They hosted Night 2 after party, which DJ Z got to spin all the hits.
And DJ Gare Bear, DJ Gary Walters.
Right.
Yeah, Gary
from
Smart Mark Gary.
Video.
He fucking got on the 1s and 2s in there. You would have thought DJ Rand was all up in the area.
Right. And Papa Hales broke down some dance.
Yeah, Papa Hales. And my favorite thing with Gary is he gets behind the DJ booth and he goes, "Where are the country records?"
And we're going back to the Mahals. I think that's going to potentially be like an ongoing thing. I don't know if we're going to go there in December, but Mahals was like really blown away by the turnout, which I thought the Saturday night turnout was going to be weak because Friday, on the double shot weekends, wherever the after party is on Friday is a guaranteed packed house because almost everybody's staying over. Everybody wants to hang out with each other and, chill out. So I thought that night 2 was going to be kind of a disappointing turnout for the bar. And, we didn't even work out really a deal for ourselves because they wanted to do a cover charge. And I said, don't do a cover charge. Like, we made sure Shima got paid a fee to, DJ or whatever. And they were, Lauren from Mahals was ecstatic. And they were like, "Hey, what can we do to bring you guys back?" And I guess we're gonna do some karaoke at the next one.
I'm ready for it.
They hired Weird Body on the full-time staff.
That's part of the deal.
This bouncer.
This is a fucking real life thing. Weird Body, all 80 pounds of him, is now the bouncer at Mahal's.
Weird Body definitely got bounced, literally. At Double Dare weekend, but we'll get into that later.
And back to our Chicago trip, we got to have Weird Body on someday to talk about the experience of 48 hours on the road with Weird Body. He is a weird guy.
I want his perspective of 48 hours on the road with the 2 of you, just from the Weird Body perspective. I think that'll be fun. Well, let's get into.
I don't know if we're even gonna get to Double Dare, man. We're already at the 20-minute mark.
Well, let's try to get
the precursors of Double Dare.
Okay, well, let's talk about these 16 teams.
And how they came about, or even the people who
were
supposed
first off,
to be
but
there.
while I remember it,
yeah.
So the week of the show, we got all 3 have crises.
Right.
Well, then the Devastation Corporation hit up Thorne and said, "Oh, I just discovered I have a broken neck."
Yeah,
it was like a herniated something in his neck, or I don't really know. I don't know if we're even supposed to be exposing his medical situation. However,
HIPAA.
I'm not a doctor. I've never signed.
We're not
HIPAA
saying
form.
which one was what, so.
But we did on Tuesday evening get an email like, "Hey, hope this is enough notice. Can't make it." And like, we had specifically booked them to go pretty far in the tournament because they're big. We specifically booked them to match up with guys like Crime Time because if I know anything about the ex-WWE,
it ain't gonna work for me, brother.
It ain't gonna work for me, brother, if you're a 5'7" indie guy most of the time. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
These guys are fucking big dudes, pretty jacked, and I just know that it's I don't know if that's gonna work for me, brother. So like we're trying to be, just like ahead of the curve on that problem. So we're like, oh man, like the Devastation Corporation, they're not gonna have, these dudes are fucking huge. They're gonna, because Crime Time, spoiler alert, was only booked for one night.
Because originally they were booked only for one night, and we were going to split them with a promoter on Saturday. But just like every other time that we try to work with another promoter, it goes to shit, and that promoter cancels. So then Crime Time are like, we're available, but we had already booked our flights and everything.
Yeah.
So
And like we had the tournament kind of worked out and booked like well far in advance. So it's just like, fuck, like on 2 days' notice, like, who are we going to get that is not booked? Because whoever was wrestling Crime Time needed to advance.
Right.
And the way it was booked was they were going to advance against the Headhunters. So, like, the Devastation Corporation was actually supposed to get, like, a hot fucking run through the tournament. And I won't say if the finish changed or not either way, but they were going to go head-to-head with Crime Time, and they were to go toe-to-toe with the Headhunters.
And by finish, you mean whoever was the better men in the ring.
Yeah, finish. I forgot. I'm not supposed to break kayfabe on this.
Real inside baseball on this thing.
Yeah. So that was kind of like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Just like I said, to just add on to like the stress of everything going on. It's just like, who the fuck am I gonna get like that is not booked on a Saturday night? You know what I mean? Like on
Friday and Saturday.
But Saturday, Fridays are usually okay, but Saturday is like, that's the tricky
tough
day,
one.
Because everybody fucking runs shows on
And
Saturday.
it was always like we would check with different tag teams, and one would be available, but the other one couldn't. Or like they were only available, like he was saying, one day. Like anybody we checked with for those last like 2 days, it went nowhere.
Yeah, so like it was fucking, it was just like such a like, oh fuck, like this is just really adding to the fucking week of shit already, and we're 3 days away from the show, you know what I mean? And just like, what the fuck do we do? And like, it's just like, all we have is students at this point, and we,
Right.
We're just like, fuck, we know people aren't gonna be fucking super fucking amped about that, because we really tried to put together like a really, kind of like star-studded, well-rounded, 16 teams. Of kind of like, we worked with like, we brought in like a ton of people we never even worked with before, just based on, we wanted to give it a variety and not be just, the AIW crew. We wanted to give it like a big show, big weekend feel. So, we wanted to bring in all these kind of outside teams, and then, also, kind of reestablish our tag division, and, if people did good, try to figure out ways to bring them back. And, it had, multiple purposes. So it's just like, who do we find that is going to be suitable on this short of notice, that isn't going to require a flight, isn't going to be super expensive. So, we're just like, fuck, I guess let's get two of our students together who are heels and, people fucking hate already. And like, let's just really fucking, let's really disappoint them.
Enter Dr. Daniel Z. Rockingham, and Brian Carson as a tag team.
And, also on the flip side of that, like, to go back, they are products of our school, and you do got to get them that experience. And, working with two former WWE guys, that's a hell of a hell of a crash course. You know
And
what I mean?
then the Headhunters the next day.
Well, yeah, they kind of fucking fell. They
That's
kind
a
of fell
legit
into
crash course.
They kind of fell into like a fucking pile of shit with that. You know what I
Well,
mean?
you know what's funny is like we tell them, okay, you got Crime Time. Oh, great, that's great. We love Crime Time. And then we're like, yeah. And then the next day you work the Headhunters.
And they're like, who?
Well, and then we tell them, and then they meet them on Friday. And I've never seen two guys more scared.
Yeah, they were fucking. Because the Headhunters are the real deal. I mean, and we'll probably get into all that.
Yeah, they're legit. Well,
I got a feeling this is going to be a two-parter. I'm just saying that
absolutely.
right now.
Well, let's talk about.
Let's kind of like lead into Double there, and then let's like really dive
Yeah,
into it.
who are the tag teams? Because you guys put out feelers for a while for this, and there were a lot of people that you reached out to.
Yeah, we probably got 200 emails?
Yeah, who didn't
on
make
one,
it to
on
Double
one
Dare?
day? Like, I mean, well, there was like a ton of like misspelled emails, like, hey, you should bring Big Jim to the fucking Double Dare.
Yeah, this is going to be a two-parter because we could probably do a whole episode just on these emails. I would say 1 out of 10 was professional enough to like maybe push it to the next level. Like, let's say we have like a tiered ladder system of like, you move up a different level. Most of these emails, like he was saying, it's like, book my tag team. It's me and Jimmy.
Or like they don't even know what they're emailing for. They're just like,
I heard you want tag teams.
Hey, y'all want to book somebody? And it's just like,
no information. Y'all want me for the tag tournament?
Yeah, like it was just, there were so many people, and there was a lot, like we did discover a lot of teams that didn't make the cut that we wanted to bring in. It's just like, it was almost like, we've talked about the J-Lit before. It was just like kind of like a science of tons of moving parts. There was teams like Cutie and the Beast. We were really high on them. They came high.
We were high on them, but then we also discovered there's about 35 other
and the Beast tag teams.
Beauty and the Beast tag teams.
They're just something and the Beast. No joke, we got like probably at least 10 different and the Beast suggestions.
People really amped for that Beauty and the Beast remake that came out this year.
But specifically, the Cutie and the Beast guys were like really highly, recommended by other people too.
I would say EYFBO was really recommended by Drew Cordero of Beyond Wrestling, and they sent a tag team match against these guys named the Private Party, who are two like PA guys that are up and comers, and I was super impressed with it. And they moved up like multiple levels, but it just didn't, with space and everything. But like these emails we were getting, and then my favorite is if you're gonna send a demo reel, and be like, this is our tag team of like their best stuff.
Yeah,
we were getting matches where I couldn't determine who the 4 guys in the ring were. One was taken about, I would say, approximately 500 feet away at a snack bar concession stand. One was filmed with all the lights off, and one light, like a fluorescent light above the ring.
Was it a custom?
No, there was a crowd there, like of about 40 people. But literally, you could not see them wrestling. It was so dark. And then, like, you're going to send that to a promoter?
I've actually just went back into the AIW Facebook, and I found what I believe is my favorite message. Here's the correspondence. Can I get involved in your Double Dare Tag Team Tournament? AIW responds, please send some footage. I'm sorry, sir. I do not have footage of me and him together, just wrestling each other. But we do work very well together. Not even a tag team.
Just 2 guys.
Just 2 dudes, man, just trying to get in there.
My favorite was, I don't know if it was that guy or another guy. He said him and his brother are a tag team, but they've never teamed before, but they feuded for 2.5 years, and he could send matches that they wrestled against each other.
But not together.
Not together, but they're
perfect.
brothers.
Like other teams that kind of were really close on the list were like the Hoods, the Minutemen. I know sent some good stuff in.
There was some tag team from PA, and I don't remember the name offhand, but they had a really good demo video to a Queen song, and they did some kind of money gimmick where they like throw money out. That was actually decent, and I don't know if they've ever even done any big indies, but their demo video was good. But I don't have their name offhand. But I would say like out of like approximately 200 emails, God, probably 20 were decent.
I mean like a ton of them were probably just getting like disregarded like right off the rip. You know what I mean? Like so many things like like the one I just read. We got so many of like, hey, I don't know how to put things on YouTube.
We had so many people go, what do you mean a video? Like, we're just supposed to book Steve and Bill, the 2 tag team guys.
Bill and Ted.
Oh, I wish it was Bill and Ted.
That'd
Wild
been
Stallions.
Were there, while John sorts for great messages, because were there tag teams that you sought out that you had in mind and like you wanted in this tournament?
We had a tag team actually booked.
Yeah.
Everybody, a lot of people have requested them. The world's cutest tag team, Joy Ryan and Candice LeRae.
Yeah.
They were actually one of the first teams booked in the tournament, and then Candice ended up having a family, like a wedding or something with family, and
she couldn't get out.
She got double booked and couldn't get out of it because she was actually in the wedding, and Joey Ryan was like,
I like that we consider her being in a wedding a booking.
oh yeah.
She's
But to
double
her,
booked.
she loves weddings. 'Cause she's a girl.
Sure, yeah.
And it was some kind of family thing. But man, Joey Ryan, I felt bad for the guy because like we basically unbooked him because we were gonna fly him from California.
Right.
And he had no other really tag team.
Oh,
The Washington Bullets, that was another tag team that sent us a really nice package. That
Yeah, and like our former commentator Colette Aaron loves them.
Yeah. So like there was like a lot of guys that were really high on the list. Here's a good message. This might actually have been my favorite. I heard you were doing a 2-day tag gimmick on September 3rd and 4th. Not even close. Not even close. to the
November
date.
4th and 5th.
We currently have it open. If interested, let me know and maybe we can work something out. Thanks.
Oh, that's
No
another,
footage, no photographs, no resume.
Not even a name.
No. Not even like who they are, their
Wow.
names, nothing.
Another thing that I love with these messages is people that go, "You have a show November 4th and 5th. Should I mark it down?" Okay,
confidence.
yeah.
Confidence is high right there. You want them.
The interest is high, yes. People, workers, like there's so many intelligent. Like we talked the other day about how intelligent PB Smooth was a couple
Right.
episodes ago. So many workers are intelligent people. Some of the most interesting people you meet in your life, and then there's just this group of workers all across the country that are just plain idiots. And we got
That's one way to put it.
you're politically correct, but so anyways, these people said
Those
these
guys that you really like, they were called the Cash Masters.
cash masters.
Sean
Oh, that's the ones
Sean
you like.
McLaughlin and Sean Andrews.
And I don't know anything about them, but I was impressed by their video.
Or no, wait. His ring name is Sean Andrews. I'm sorry. Sean Andrews and Clay Drasher, the Cash Masters. You were like super impressed by their video.
I loved it. And you know what I thought was,
they were really respectful guys in the email.
you know what really I thought was interesting with them is they had a demo video, and I remember it because it had Queen in it. And you don't usually see a video put a lot of times to pop. Usually it's like, oh, we got thrasher metal. This
Yeah.
is our music video.
Metallica.
But it was memorable. I mean, out of 100 emails or 200 emails or whatever, I remember that one specifically.
So this
Hold
was
on, one more.
Oh,
One
okay.
more. Bros are letter R. Bros are down for the tournament. 3 YouTube links. Whole email.
Okay.
Well, we actually did book the biggest bro, Matt Riddle, so we
That's
solved
true.
that problem.
Matt Riddle
That
was there.
quota was filled.
So there were, this is your shining moment. There were no old school Mid-South tag teams that Chandler Biggins was just
yeah.
craving to book.
That was
Bunkhouse Buck, Colonel Rob Parker, and Jock Sampson were on the list. Jock Sampson was actually booked, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, because, once... So, it's kind of funny. Like, once we start booking these things, it's like all those crazy ideas, like, when it's just like us, it's like, yeah, that's awesome, that's awesome. And then, like, we kind of separate, and then I start going, like, the Bunkhouse Buck stuff and the Colonel Robert Parker stuff was cool for us. I don't know how many people were super going crazy for
And
it.
we're not saying we're not going to revisit them.
Right.
But
But it's like, so it's just like,
and we really wanted to make this tournament a fucking banger.
yeah, we wanted it to be like, like on the level of like a DDT4 or something like that. Chris Candido Cup.
I don't know. Z-Bar booked.
But, we wanted
Well, like, think of Chikara. Tag World Grand Prix was one of my favorite shows every
right.
year.
And like, that's just kind of from the era where we're like, super kind of marky for like that, those formative years of like independent wrestling with like tournaments and stuff like that. So we're like,
man, Candido Cup, that's where fucking Homicide killed Drake Younger with a cop killer.
what was the strong style tag team one called?
Oh, I can't remember. They had Double Death where it was the two tag team death
Yeah,
matches.
Ian was going to book me for that, me and Christian Faith, but I
Really?
couldn't get the day off of work.
And then they had the one where
only time he was ever going to book me.
no, he was gonna book you the one time, and then he booked what's his name's buddy or whatever.
Oh yeah, but fucking so like we get these like ideas, you know what I mean? And it's just like once we get talking, we're like, yeah, man, Bunkhouse Buck, that'd be sweet. And then like, so then I'm just like,
Can we just say shout out to Nick Manawa because we just talked to IWA? You'll be happy.
yeah, shout out to Uncle Ian. But we get these fucking crazy ideas. So then like for every draft, like Colonel Robert Parker, Jock Sampson, and Bunkhouse Buck are on the list. You know what I mean? Because we just think that's like just like an easy night one out tag team, and then
Right.
for a few drafts of it, it got like real crazy. I'm trying to track down the Godwins on Facebook, and like,
Oh man, let me tell you about the Godwins. I love the Godwins. The Godwins did a media tour for SummerSlam 1996 in Cleveland. I think that was the first pay-per-view ever at Gunda Arena or Quicken Loans.
It's SummerSlam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I was so excited because the Godwins were on TV so much that I became a huge Godwins fan. The first foam finger I've ever bought in my life was in 1996. I still own it, a Godwins foam figure. So he pitched me. He goes, "What about the Godwins?" I go, "Fuck yeah, I love the Godwins."
the Godwins are sweet, dude. But like,
And the Godwins, not Naked Midian, not Midian the Chef. The Godwins.
Right. What were Phineas and
Henry O. Godwin.
Henry, that's
Hog.
right.
Hog and Pig.
Yeah, that's right.
And we could have probably got Hillbilly Jim in the deal. That would have been great.
That would have been amazing if you had Hillbilly Jim in the deal.
Yeah, so then it's just like, we're talking to like some people like like Adam Lash and Joe Spot. I don't even know how to say his
I
name.
like LFC, man.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Joe Spotso.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Spostos.
Oh, sorry, Joe.
The paycheck still says LFC.
Right.
And it's just like, then it's just like fucking, we're trying to get like, I'm trying to track down Scott Norton because I want to fucking reform Vicious and Delicious with Buff Bagwell. So that becomes an idea
Because
for a while.
after the Jalen experience with Buff Bagwell is always on the back burner, ready to go.
Yeah, because who knows? He could be like a total fuck up again now, but he was awesome that J-Lit weekend.
It went
So
great.
like he's always on like the
peripheral.
Yeah, the list or whatever of like, let's bring Buff back. I mean, it's been a couple years, so he keeps getting bumped down, but
I would say he gets pitched every third show. Probably.
yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, let's get Vicious and Delicious. So I'm trying to track down Scott Norton and like,
And then people were saying Fire and Ice so much that we were like, how the fuck do we find Ice Train?
yeah. So it's like, how do we find fuck? So like we're getting into all these fucking crazy ideas, and then like someone's like, oh man, like you should do New Jack and the Honky Tonk Man as a tag team. So then like that was kind of like being considered, but then we're just like, oh, we love the Honky Tonk Man, New Jack. I don't know, that's a little dangerous.
Scary.
He had a good run on Facebook Live talking to me, and that
then
was it.
like my most fucking kind of outlandish idea is I wanted to bring back the Submission Squad, but
No. This was you and me combined.
but I like wanted to repackage them as the Submissive Squad.
And Angelus and them in all leather, and then Angelus Lane dressed as a mistress.
Like a dominatrix, and have them come out with like I mean, this is probably why I'm single, honestly. These fucking ideas. But like, this was like an idea, and I'm like, I'm talking with all the parties involved.
We were just talking about those ring rentals. This is what happens during the ring rentals because the show's going on and it's not our show, so we have no pressure.
Right.
Me and him are sitting at Mega Championship Wrestling, and we've already booked a whole year of the Submissive Squad's angles.
Yeah, like this. We just get on this fucking idea, and I'm like, oh man, this Submissive Squad thing is gonna go viral.
They're at the sex store buying like leather vests and ball gags,
And then they just, it kind of fucking,
they got bumped.
yeah, kind of one of those things that just fucking winds up on the cutting room floor, dude.
And Pierre Abernathy retires.
Yeah, and then like we tried to get them actually to replace the Devastation Corporation, but by that time they just couldn't do it. So I'm trying to think of fucking, those were really the.
Oh man, there's probably 100 that we can't think of offhand. But if you could think of something weird, we probably at one point was like, oh man, let's do it.
Yeah, and we're thinking like Memphis tag teams or like weird, we had Tracy Smothers booked, and then we're just like, oh man, like what if we got him to do like a tag team that wasn't the FBI? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I think somebody was pitching the Southern Boys at one point.
yeah.
PG-13 was always on the list.
Yeah, Jamie Dundee is always on the list, but brother, I don't know if we could go down that road. Like that's one of those things that's like, man, this is awesome on paper, but like fuck, who knows what's gonna happen with PG-13.
Well, we also had on there, as we already talked about, we had Crime Time, and one of the interesting things in the day itself, and this will probably lead into part 2 of Double Dare.
This is probably a good cliffhanger right here.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
So
That movie is always on cable, by the way.
Crime Time
AIW show.
had their match, but then earlier in the day, John Thorne had already tweeted out that somebody was arrested. They were not going to
What time did the supposed person call you? Like 5 a.m.?
When I was up all night editing the my first kind of production of this podcast, when I took it over, I decided, since I'm off work the next day for Double Dare, that I was going to edit it on that Thursday night. Another reason why my girlfriend at the time fucking hated me, because I was pulling my hair out trying to figure out how to do this. So I thought it was going to take, I don't know, a half hour, and I'm like 6 hours in, and like, you know,
Which, you know, by the way, how he learns how to do this and how I've learned how to do a lot of things are how-to videos. If you go through the
YouTube, right?
What's that?
YouTube.
YouTube how-to videos. If you go through, me and Thorne use the AIW account like as our own YouTube. If you go through the watch history, all it is weird wrestling footage, how-to videos, and vlogs I watch.
Yeah, so, you know, so I'm fucking up all night. Like, literally, like, nothing has frustrated me more, because I'm using this, like, software program I don't know how to use, and, like, I don't understand it. So, like, I'm up all night, like, my girlfriend's waking up.
And, like, at first the files didn't work or something.
Yeah, and, like, I couldn't figure out how to do any of this shit. My girlfriend's waking up at, like, 3 o'clock in the morning, like, I thought we were going to hang out. Like, are you ever going to come to bed? Like, you know, like.
I'm a podcaster now, honey.
And I was just like, I'm trying to figure out this podcast, you know. So, literally, I give up on it. I fucking lay on the couch. I put on Passenger 57.
Oh, of a movie. Snipes.
This is how
Wesley
I decide.
Snipes
This
the
is how I'm gonna unwind of this podcast disaster, because I think that we've just purchased all this stuff, and I'm not gonna be able to fucking figure it out. 5 a.m. I'm fucking doing Passenger 57, trying to fucking relax. My phone rings, and I go, "What? Who the fuck is gonna call me at 5 a.m.?" And
Colin Delaney.
it was not Colin Delaney.
Oh, man.
It was somebody that's going to be saved for next week.
That's right. So to lead into this, I will say one thing about it. There was an audience member who shouted out when Brian Carson and Dr. Dan were in the ring, and they said, "Not who you thought we were you?" And everybody said, "No, we know, because Devastation Corporation got arrested." Well, find out if it was in fact them or somebody else, as John Thorne pointed out, on our next episode, episode 2 for Double Dare. 2-night show. It's going to get 2 episodes. We'll talk to you then.
Thanks.